It's been about 10 years since I was introduced to music like this. I'm only sorry it's not a beautiful day.
Oh, but it is.
Not that sorry. That was the theme song, right? So this is fun. This is great. This is like a reunion. There are a lot of great stories here. One of the most fun times of the campaign, of course, was the Sleepless Summer Tour, which started in Falls Church. We thought at the time there were 3,000 people there, but I've met so many people across the country who are there, and we now know that 250,000 people came. Let me say a little bit about why I'm here for Don. He was my campaign treasurer, so there's some loyalty there. I believe you helped the people who helped you. But Don and Megan are two extraordinary human beings. First of all, they're great parents, which matters a lot, and they have kids that are just as outrageous as Megan is. Who've asked me questions that I can't repeat here. And they're a great family, and the most important thing of all is their values. Now, Don laid out his positions on the issues, which I think are great and are incredibly progressive, and that's what we need. I actually don't judge people solely on their positions. What this country needs is people who will stop dealing in hate and anger and start working with others who we may disagree with. And Don Beyer has a capacity to do that, which he's had for a very long time. So I love the idea of some of the things that he has just talked about now, the marriage equality and standing up for individual rights and standing up for people, particularly at the low end of the economic scale, who've been screwed by this sort of corporate philosophy that we now have, where corporations get everything and ordinary people get nothing. I love somebody who's going to try to deal with income and inequality in this country, which I actually think is the biggest issue facing the country. The reason for that is, it's not because I'm a liberal Democrat. It isn't. That's not why. It's not ideological. The biggest danger in the incredible income inequality that we have in this country is that 80% of the people in this country have not had a raise in 20 years. 20 years. All the growth of income in this country has been in the top 20%, and a lot of it's been in the top 1%. You've seen the charts, they're incredible. The danger of that is not, it's immoral, although I think it is. The danger of that is this country really is the greatest country in the world, not because we're all better than everybody else, but because we are founded in the belief that you can start from nothing and work really hard and make something of yourself, and that your kids might be able to go to college, and that they might be having a good life, and you can build your community. That is what's at risk. If 80% of the people haven't had a raise for 20 years because of the machinations of Congress and politicians and failed institutions like Wall Street, if 80% of the people believe, and they're starting to believe it, that you can play by the rules and the deck is fixed against you, then America dies, because the core of the American dream is the possibility, not that being rich is bad. We don't believe that. But the core of the American dream is that someday we could be like that if we work hard enough and if we listen to what our parents have to say and if our values are right. So what is being destroyed by the Koch brothers and others is not simply campaign finance and skullduggery in politics. What's being destroyed is the core of who we are as Americans. And that core means that it is the individual vote that matters, not how much money you have. That was what the Supreme Court destroyed in McCutcheon and Citizens United. So Megan and Don, and they are a team, and what a great couple. If ever there was the proof that opposites attract and opposites Although I have a marriage like that. My wife says to me, about every once a year, she says, she sees something she's really upset about on television. She goes, Howard, you would have been a great president, and you would have been really good for the country, but I'm really glad you didn't win. So, we got to send these guys to Congress.
Yeah.
You have to do that Don Beyer's going to vote right. He's going to vote the way we want him to vote. Because it's in his core, not because he's going to take polls to find out what his constituency says every 5 minutes, which is exactly the wrong thing that Washington people do. It's because he has an inner compass.
Yes.
Guided by Megan's inner compass. He has an inner compass that has a strong sense of what is right and what is wrong. And that's what you want. More so, you don't want somebody in Congress that's going to agree with you all the time. What you do, I mean, Tom Perriello was a great politician from Virginia. Why? And he was elected in a really conservative district. And after the Affordable Care Act passed, he went down to his district and he lost the race, not by much. And the reason he almost won in one of the most conservative districts in Virginia is because he stood up for what we believed in. Don Beyer practices conviction politics, and conviction politics will always get you further than catering to people's worst instincts in the long run, and it's much better for the country. People want to respect politicians, and they can't respect politicians unless they stand for something. Don Beyer is not afraid to say what he stands for. He just did, and you can take to the bank that that's how he's going to vote when he gets into Congress.
Yeah.
But that is not enough. We are plagued by a whole group of people in Congress that have put their party above the interests of their country. When you are willing to shut down the government to prove a political point and harm the credit rating of the United States of America, when you believe that the way to win is to have less people vote, then you would be more comfortable with Ukrainian politics than you are with American politics. Seriously, if you are part of an effort to restrict people's rights to vote in the United States of America, then democracy is not a value that you espouse, and we live in a democracy. It's the foremost democracy over history that's ever existed in human history. We need to support our democracy, which means we need people like Don Beyer, and not people, well, it's such a long list on the other side. Ted Cruz, Rand Paul, the House of Delegates in this state, which made it harder for ordinary people to vote. These folks ought not to be in politics because they have not valued the core of democracy. It is okay to win, even by taking out lots of ads that say terrible things about your opponent. We don't like it, but it's not okay to win by taking away people's right to vote. And it's not okay to do that and have the Supreme Court of the United States of America. Earl Warren must be turning over in his grave. And these are small people on this court. They may be smart, but they are small, tiny human beings with wizened souls. And we are going to replace them when we get a third Democratic president in a row. We are a great country. We are a great people. It is time that we were represented in the House and Senate by people who are as good as we are. This is a great nation. What the hell happened to Congress? They're supposed to represent us, and they are not doing it. Don Beyer will do it, and he's the beginning of the trend that we need to start to take over the Congress of the United States of America and have it owned by the public and not by the Koch brothers and the right-wing Supreme Court that forgot what the Constitution said, if they ever knew or if they ever cared. Thank you all for coming. Let me thank all of you. Those got whose idea was it to put these Dean buttons out here? There'll be an announcement about that shortly in case there's any press in the room. But let me thank you. Let me turn this back. I'm not sure who I'm supposed to, because I haven't seen the script, of course. Okay? And if I did, I wouldn't pay any attention to it. But Scotty is on.